On the campaign trail, Democratic hopefuls united in their criticism of President Trump's attacks on 4 Congresswomen. ABC's Rachel Scott is in Iowa, where several 2020 candidates are courting votes from an organization with tens of millions of members across the country. Rachel, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. The Democratic candidates are here in Iowa to pitch their health care proposals. But in the fight to beat President Trump, it is the issue of race taking center stage.
On the campaign trail this weekend, concern over the health of the nation.
These are hard times for our country. We saw this again over the past few days.
Donald Trump's viciousness, his bullying, his utter disregard for people's lives is literally tearing the soul out of who we are.
It is time to turn the page and write the next chapter in our collective history.
After tweets from the president suggesting 4 minority American congresswomen go back to where they came from, turned into chants of support for President Trump's latest rally. The president has disavowed those chants, but tweeted this morning, "I don't believe the 4 congresswomen are capable of loving our country." The president going on to call them weak and insecure people. The candidates united in rebuke of the president.
We have a president of the United States who is an overt racist, who is a bigot, who thinks that he's going to win re-election by dividing people up based on the color of their skin or where they were born or their religion.
The president's rhetoric resurfacing memories of a time many Americans thought was behind them.
What is the key to having honest conversations about race in this country?
Treating racial inequality not only as a specialty issue, as an issue to be talked about with audiences of color only, but as something that, frankly, white Americans need to take more seriously.
And Rachel Scott is now back with us from Des Moines. And Rachel, as you noted in your story, Democrats are making race a key issue on the campaign trail, but they're not only condemning President Trump's actions and his remarks, they're also trying to counter them.
Exactly. For the Democrats, proposals to countering racial tension in this country are proving to be just as important as proposals on legacy issues like health care. Now, the Biden campaign is out with a fresh video this morning highlighting the president's response to those chants. And Mayor Pete Buttigieg has released a proposal on how to tackle racial inequality in this country. Whit?
Rachel Scott in Iowa, thanks so much. Dan, over to you.
Thank you, Whit. Thank you, Rachel. Let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who's going to be hosting This Week later this morning. George, good morning.
Good morning
to you. So clearly Democrats see race as a potent issue in the era of Trump, but it's also possibly canceled out by the fact that many on the Trump base are also fired up about these send her home comments in a way that supports Trump. And could that explain a little bit why we're seeing mixed signals from Trump on this issue?
The president's following a pretty familiar playbook right here, and I think we have to address both the morality of what the president has done this week and the politics of it. It's pretty astonishing that a president is playing racial politics in such an explicit way with those calls for them to go back to the countries they came from, even though all 4 Democratic congresswomen are citizens, of course, and members of Congress. But I do think that the president has this instinct that playing racial politics does help him, does help mobilize his base. We saw how excited they got in North Carolina on Thursday night. Of course, a little bit too excited. The president, even though he seemed to enjoy those comments in the moment, was forced to sort of pull back on that on Friday and say that he no longer wasn't happy with the comments. But even see the president then shift gears again and say that he's calling these people incredible patriots. The president does not want to disavow those comments, does not want to do anything that separates himself from his base. And I think one of the big questions going forward is how everyone else in the political world responds. Republicans, Democrats, elected officials, citizens.
Is there a similarity here between how he's handling this and how he handled Charlottesville?
Very similar. I mean, you saw the president get out there when it seemed to get a little too hot, pull back, but then even as he's recalibrating, not disavow those statements. He's going to try to keep this alive. I think that's pretty clear right now. I don't think it's clear how it's going to play out in the election.
Let me talk about a big story that's coming up this week. I know you're going to be talking about on your show this morning. Robert Mueller is going before Congress. How impactful do you think Mueller's testimony is likely to be, given the fact that he's already come out and said, look, I'm not saying anything beyond the 4 corners of my report?
And the question that follows from that is, since I guess there's by one estimate only about 3% of Americans are aware of what's inside the Mueller report or have read the Mueller report, what difference will it make to see Robert Mueller explaining what's in the report, to see him maybe even even reading portions of the report. That's one of the things the Democrats would like him to do on Wednesday. Right now, you have about 90 Democrats for impeachment. I bet that number is likely to go up after the testimony on Wednesday. Whether it's enough to reach critical mass and actually get impeachment proceedings started, I think that's an open question. But I think for the first time, Americans will have a chance to hear Robert Mueller give his conclusions himself. I think that will make a difference.
Let's see if it's the movie's more powerful than the book. George, thank you very much. Appreciate it. As always, George has a big show this morning. He's going to go one-on-one with House Oversight Committee Chair Elijah Cummings, plus 2020 candidate Governor Steve Bullock joins this week, and there's the Powerhouse Roundtable. They'll be breaking down the latest in the presidential race. It's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC. George, thanks again.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.